Welcome, welcome, thrice welcome to JWC Livestream. That's JWC Livestream. This is a very special show. We have a guest author speaking today. It's Ricky and Tom on JWC Livestream. That's Joe's Writers Club Livestream. But we also have our new associate here. His name is Upen, and he's an author. And we're thank you for joining us, Upen.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Great. Thank you.
Yes. And Tom, you also thank you for joining again as
my pleasure.
Co-host. Now, normally what we do when we get together like this, we have a bunch of reads and check-ins, and we talk about creativity, because Joe's Writers Club is all about creativity and inspiration.
Correct.
So, Tom, how have you been, and what are you working on lately as far as creative projects are concerned?
Well, my computer is in a very cramped space for we're doing kitchen remodel. My computer's kind of out of action, so I've been doing a lot of handwriting. I'm about 16 times 2, about 4,000 words into a new Pencrim story, The Women of Aton, about a very influential women's group, the Kiever Historical Society, and they're the upper crust women of the town, and they're being, various pressures and people that don't like them, and an Egyptian woman joins their group, and she comes up with an idea to create a weapon of vengeance against their enemies and their rivals and anybody who gets in their way. So they turn a 6'5", 240-pound mass of muscle human being named Jeremy Muldoon into sort of a zombie, and they use him as a weapon of vengeance, and they keep him standing in the bottom of a pool at their bed and breakfast on the island that the woman that's head of the society owns. So, the police are very baffled by how a dead man could be strangling all these people.
Yeah, so, that would be baffling. Yes, should that condition arise. Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. It's an old idea I had, kicking around one of the first Pencrim stories I thought of eons ago, before my daughter was born. And I said, let me see what I could do. I was just started writing notes, and I said, this will be a lot of fun, And I'm also doing another couple of 100 words, doing an outline, which you'll be shocked at, for the Pencrim novel.
Whoa! Put the brakes on. You're outlining, Tom. What happened? Should we take your temperature?
I don't know if it's outlined. It's just basically I'm writing a list of events that happen in the book.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I do. Maybe I do it a little bit more exactly, but you're coming over on the other side there. That's pretty wild. Tom is excellent writer of horror fiction. His dialogue, his voice, the pacing of his stories, but he does it all pantsing, Upen. And some people are like, whoa. For Tom, it's like, yeah, I couldn't, but he's coming over to outline. See, wow. That's very, very interesting. Anything else you're working on? Oh, what's the key? Tell me.
The key is I wrote the original first draft, let's call it the zero draft of that novel 35 years ago.
Yeah, that's
before
wild.
I take it out of the drawer and look at it, I'm going from my memories of it and recreating it, because my writing's got a lot more mature, let's call it.
I'm sure that's true.
In that time, and I may write it from scratch, or not. So it's sort of an existing work that I'm repurposing. So that's the reason why the outline of sorts.
Yeah, that makes a
lot has changed in the time since. Yeah, a lot has changed since I wrote it originally, as far as characters and dialogue, especially that. So we'll see. I'll do all my notes, and then I'll take the thing out of the drawer, and I'll start reading it, and cry. It was not great back then.
Yeah. Well, look, there's something. I'm sure there's still something vibrational in there because it's a forecast of your talents. You're already probably pretty well read back then. So
yeah.
Well, that sounds great, Tom. As always, I'm always in awe when I hear you're working on a new Pancram story because of how those generally come out. I was working on a bunch of stuff, but that all went away last week. I had a massive news flash. Back in 2011, I was a poet before 2011. And back in 2011, I started writing these cosmic fantasy novels, Cyberdonia, Draconia, things like that, right? And it's very, very fantastical fantasy, but it's like sci-fi fantasy, and it's set in space, magic, powers, ships, all this stuff. So these manuscripts have been laying around like obstacles. Like I didn't know what to do with them. But the other night, I'd say about a week ago, I had, which is what I term, when you have a creative spark of inspiration, that bolt that cannot be denied, that goes through your mind, where you're like, whoa, I gotta write, I have to write this. Like you can't do anything else. Now that is the mark of a creative obsessor. And if you're throwing down tens of thousands of words, that ends up being what you are sooner or later. You could say, well, I'm disciplined. Yeah, sure, not denying it. I am not disciplined. I like butter on my toast. So I call myself a creative obsessor because if I didn't have fun doing it, then I wouldn't have did it. So I have 170,000 words I have to write to weave this new narrative bee through the 7 books. And it ends up being very convenient for the end of the series that I could never. There's a wedding where these gods are getting married, and there's a horrible crash that happens. Someone comes who's not invited, and I never really knew, like, well, how's this going to work? Because it felt a little klutzy. But now I know. But I have 170,000 words to write to get there, because each book will be like 100,000 words. And that's nothing for Tom. Tom writes 100,000 word books for breakfast, like by accident. But I'm not that way. I write shorter things. But I'm looking to change my my repertoire, or however you want to call it. So that's all. Those other projects are gonzo now. I'm not even thinking about them. It's only this, and I love it. Guys, I love it. I'm so happy.
It's interesting how you talk about an obsession, that a flash that cannot be denied. That's what happened with Emily.
Yes.
So I had this story in my head, and I had to put it on paper, and I couldn't wait to get to the end, so I could just step back and say, now I can go back and figure out what I've done.
Yes. No, I know. And I got that whole thing from Emily, that Snakeborn thing. I won't say how I got it, but you remember me. I read Tom's Emily Breck when it was as more of a zero draft before he made some changes to it. We call it zero draft. A zero draft is not even ready for an editor. A zero draft is like for your creative associations and your friends. A first draft is like, okay, I'm giving it to an editor. That's how I call it. I don't know. Everybody's got their own terms. But anyway, we're all creatives here. Upen, you're a creative. How about you? What have you been working on lately? And then we'd love to hear about your project and why you're here today.
Perfect. First and foremost, thank you for having me. It's been great. I feel honored to be with such tenured writers, and I consider myself a rookie in the writing field, because this is technically my first book. And it's kind of a little easier because it's nonfiction. So I have, like things to fall back and my research is kind of very easy because that's what, I have something to fall back on. So basically I'm working on something called customer centricity. Customer centricity is basically creating experiences in hotels, in the hospitality industry, basically, which go far above and beyond just being courteous and just saying, please, thank you, I'm sorry, and all that jargon, which basically is so mechanical. For me, a great experience is what I call luxury of the senses. What you see, what you smell, what you touch, what you hear, and what you taste. So that's what this book is all about. It's basically going to take you through a journey of the luxury of the senses. That's what a hotel, a hospitality professional needs to create. Because in this competitive environment, you have thousands of brands and everybody is giving you the best. And everybody says they are the greatest and they are the best. But what will make you stand out is this luxury of the senses. So that's my, most important focus of the book. And what other unique points are in the book is I have picked up 3 specific brands globally. And they are not the big boys like the Marriotts and the Hiltons and the Four Seasons. These are some homegrown brands started by young budding entrepreneurs. And this is global. So I'm comparing a hotel which was started by a 26-year-old kid in California under the name of Aga Hotels. Then I'm talking about Liva Hotels, another homegrown brand out of UAE, Dubai. And Dubai is an extremely, extremely competitive market, extremely competitive. Practically every month there's a new hotel getting launched. And how this brand has survived COVID times and, post-COVID, it's been extremely challenging for the hospitality industry. What are the best practices that were incorporated in that hotel? And I have played a major role in taking that hotel to #1 on TripAdvisor with my customer centricity focus and what is customer centricity all about and how we can give the customer that beyond courteous, hospitable experience. And then there's another brand which is in India, Signet Hotels and Resorts, again, a homegrown brand. Then there are, like the Airbnb space. Wabi Sabi is a Japanese concept, again, of, simplicity, minimalism, and wow experience. So, seeing all this happening in the world, in the globe, made me write this book. I said, I have to share this with more and more people, a wider audience, because why should this just remain a secret? And why not 500 more people create these experiences and eventually it gets passed on to more and more hotels? And it could spread to airlines, it could spread to any sectors, retail, where you're customer obsessed. And that's what this book is all about. Another unique thing in the book is also about humans. We tend to ignore them completely. We think, okay, just because we put some bone china over there, a fancy silk, bedspread or something like that. But what about the humans, and the humans at the grassroots level? How many of us really think about that housekeeper who cleans the room, goes above and beyond to create that wonderful experience for you when you enter the room. You come into a clean, fresh room. So I have interviewed about 5 different humans from the industry, and they're going to be sharing how they, in their simple way, give customer-centric service. So these are the unique features about the book, and that's what's going to make the book very, very unique. And it's not just going to be, do this or do that, or it's not a instructional book. It's not a manual. You read it, you enjoy it, you have fun with it, and you incorporate in your day-to-day life, and in a very light way. It's not harsh, it's not rough, it's not tough, like do this or do that, or no checklists, none of the routine bookish kind of work, because most non-fiction books try to be very instructional. I want to get away from that, want to make it very different. And that's where I am at. It's very, very challenging. Time is very little. The book is, it's going to be a global launch. That's what I'm so excited about. The first launch, hopefully, if everything goes well, is going to be in the city of Jaipur. Jaipur is a historical city in India. And why Jaipur, I'll even tell you. I don't know if I have the date correct, but it was something in the 1827 or 1817, where, as you know, in that time, India was ruled by the Maharajas, the kings. And Queen Victoria was supposed to be visiting to India, where this Maharaja invited her to come and visit. And apparently the color pink signifies with hospitality. When you're hospitable to someone, apparently you put pink tablecloths, pink bedspreads. So he took a step further. He painted the entire city pink. And till today, Jaipur is called the Pink City. So, what better place where hospitality really originated to have the book being launched in that city. So that's something exciting, what I'm looking for. And probably in your next meet or whenever the book, I can share all the videos and the pictures of my launch, which will be in Jaipur, in India. So that's how exciting this journey is. And I'm super, super excited. Of course, there are some challenges too, because, there are certain weeks, certain days where I get the mental blocks, like you start panicking. Oh my God, no creative idea has come this week. What do I do next? What do I do next? So I do go through phases of that as well. But I'm sure I'll overcome them all.
Certainly. Yeah. There's certain techniques that can be applied that can help you get past blocks or allow.
Great. If there's anything, I'll be more than happy to, listen, share any. Y'all are more tenured, and let me know how to avoid these.
Absolutely. Maybe we could have you on for another show and we could go over such things. But before we touch on that, Tom, what do you think of what Bhupen has said here? I mean, this all sounds marvelous, right?
Very exciting, very, very interesting. I could see it being like he said, it being applied to virtually anything, including our work.
Yes.
Right? That could revolutionize publishing.
Right.
If you play with it a little bit. Be very, very interesting. I'm just thinking right now to the gentleman I know, the owner's son of our timeshare in Florida, and he's always looking for something to improve business. So I think I'm going to get a copy of the book and give it to him and say,
"Thank you.
This will put your timeshare back on the map."
Map.
And so
Certainly,
as an
yeah.
older timeshare, it was there's a movie from 1960 called Where the Boys Are.
Mhm.
George Hamilton and a whole bunch of people. And the crew, the writers and the directors and art directors, and everything, they stayed at this place before it was a timeshare. So it's got some interesting history. And I was maybe trying to bring that excitement back. So your book definitely could do that. But a question I have
Yes.
is it's being released in December. Is there a reason why there's such a large gap of time between now and then? Is it being edited? Is it being prepared? Is it being translated?
Basically, it's in draft mode. I wanted it to be in like, so October will be Jaipur, and then Dubai, and then India. So I spread it out. Basically it starts from October to December. So it's basically in three different cities. So that's the reason.
Okay.
And basically the draft needs a lot of reading and rereading and stuff like that.
Oh, certainly.
That's the reason.
Have you an editor that you use?
I have a friend who has some experience, so he's doing it for me. Yeah, a well-wisher, come friend, everything combined together. Yep.
Because something this important, I would think since everything is a business expense, to find a really good professional editor. There's content editor, and then there's grammar. I guess you would call grammar editing. Content editor would be something you could. There's a lot of the good ones out there you could look for, and they're not really super expensive, but they would really probably whip your book into shape. So there's nothing worse than you're reading a book and you see a word that's misspelled, and it's a Random House bestseller, and they have the wrong there in the on the sentence. It just, for me, it just jumps right out. So
certainly,
having a perfect edit would be well worth the expense.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I it's interesting that you're talking about like hotel services and stuff like that, because about 10 years ago, I was in Atlantic City a lot, and we would go to the Borgata, the Borgata Water Club, and the minute you walk in, everything is like a palace, and there's aromatherapy, there's fountains and glass sculptures, tile floors. In the tower, the bathrooms are like, they look like $30,000 bathrooms. Like, beautiful tile and stone glass, big enough for me even. And it's like, but it's also the service. Absolutely. Because you could have a palace, and if it's filled with nasty people who don't care, what difference does it make? You're not going to be satisfied. And so your book is very, very useful that way, in that it focuses on the personnel, and it's also so the actual service itself.
True.
So all that stuff is very, very interesting to me, because I've had a number of experiences that way in those places. So give us an example about like even if it's just 3 points about the stuff that you point out as far as services is concerned, because you have hotels and motels that do good service, but your book is probably comprehensive. They could probably, even if they're already good, they could probably learn, because you've done your interviews and your research. So is there any point that stands out? You don't need to spoil it or anything, but
I think the most important part is, first, being a great listener. You know, most of the times the breakdown happens because the service personnel stop listening to you. They do not give you a chance, and they immediately get into defense mode, you know. Oh, like, oh my God, he's attacking me, or no. They need to stand in that customer's shoes. You know, you could be coming from a red-eye flight or an overseas flight.
Sure.
And your thought processes and your thinking is so different. You know, like you come, your expectation is I want my room in the next 3 to 5 minutes. And here you're made to wait 30 minutes to get a room. So you're going to snap. But the problem is how the front desk agent at that moment puts yourself or herself in your shoes and understands, oh, this customer's had a red-eye flight, or he has, you know, jet lag, he's coming from an overseas trip. So how to fit into these roles and handle that situation at that moment is critical. It's absolutely critical. And that's what this book is going to be all about, you know, those unique situations, and how to be in the customer's shoes and feel like a customer and not there like, oh, I'm here just to, you know, give an answer and give them the key and you know, do that. So that's where the difference in the book is all going to be all about. And it's not only going to be what I am saying. That's why I've taken these humans who have proved, you know, with great service, you know, standards and service skill sets, have changed situations. And you know, it just doesn't have to be that it's changed at a Four Seasons. It could be in a motel also, you know, where you could probably, you know, wow your customer with a great service, you know, simple things like, you know, where I'll share an example where I personally was, you know, managing a hotel one time, and this guest who had come to stay in my hotel had come for his refresher pilot training. And, you know, they have such strict rules that if you're even a little bit ill, the next day you cannot report to your refresher training, and the entire thing is canceled. The entire schedule is canceled. His wife was calling the hotel, and this guy wasn't answering or whatever for various reasons and all that. She happened to call the front desk. The front desk agent told me, you know, this is what it is. Can you go see in the room that why this guest is not answering? How his wife is very, very concerned. And I went and knocked at the guy's door. The guy had like 101 fever.
Oh.
And he's the one who explained to me, he says, you know what, if I miss this thing of my refresher training, my entire stay is gone. And for the next 6 months, I won't be able to fly. So, and here I had to do something, you know, very out of the box, where I said, you know, I know of a medication, which I know is not prescription or whatever. It's Theraflu, and within 24 hours, you will be fine. You drink it as a tea and all that. And it's not like, you know, like something which will knock you off, or alcohol or something like that, which is like that. Where I gave him that, you know, from my personal, and I told him, you got to read the label before, you know, how you feel. If you have any allergies or anything, I'm not responsible for that. But this was a simple thing which made such a difference in his life. You know, it was a life death kind of a situation, in the sense, you know, missing someone's career. So these are the little things which make the service so different, because, you know, what else can you go above and beyond in situations like that? And, you know, I not only he spoke to me, you know, during his stay, he took me for that simulation training class. He says, come experience, how we get trained and stuff like that. And, these are the little things what I'm going to be talking in the book, and, stories, and I made a friend too, now it's
all of that sounds very, very interesting.
Yes.
So the book is couched on these tales that demonstrate the principles that are in the book.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's fantastic. And if we all just think a little bit beyond corporate, like you're saying, to the personal nature, if I was in this person's shoes, what would I want to hear? You're going back to the empathy, you're touching the heart. And I think every industry can benefit from that type of information. Well, that's very, very interesting. And the books already, I would like to read this book.
Thank you.
Tom will tell you, I mostly read fantasy. But anything where you could step in and learn, like something like that, would benefit me as a person and me as a writer, because you hear those stories, and not only are they interesting, informative, but they're pointing in a direction,
Absolutely.
So it's a character study besides. It sounds really, really great. When did you first get the inspiration for this book?
I have been meaning to do this for a while. I say, I must share, my experiences. It's been a wonderful journey for me. I have about 4 decades of experience in the business, and this is the time now. I have been toying with the idea for, I would say, a couple of years, to be honest. But then I finally made the decision last year. I said, I must do this. I must put it down, on paper or whatever, electronic medium or whatever. Because, I think experiences and knowledge must be shared. It's not something which you take away with you, if you
absolutely.
So that's how it's just my nature that I want to share this whatever expertise I have, and
Sure.
Very good.
It makes sense with all those. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have the book cover if you wanted to take a look.
Thank you.
All right, hold on for a moment. Let's see. Here we go.
There you go.
Excellent.
Word on your, yeah.
I actually like the cover. It's cool.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
I promise the content will be better.
Yeah.
Is this tentative cover, or is this going to be the permanent cover?
This is going to be the permanent cover. Yeah. Don't think
Okay. Because cover is one of the 2 things that are the most important thing for selling a book. Is the other one is the your back cover description.
Correct.
Right. All right. So we're good. So I've always had, personally, I think when I stay at a hotel, I always try to be really super nice to the housekeeper, because they're just as important as the hotel manager in my eyes.
Absolutely.
Nobody is more important than anybody else.
I agree.
And if I could put a smile on everybody's faces, in the morning, in the evening, I'll do it. When we drive down to Florida, we drive 19 hours from here in New Jersey, and we get to a little town called Waldo, which is near Jacksonville. And the woman we always say at the same Best Western, there's a woman there at the front desk. Seen her 4 or 5 years in a row. She's just so super, because when we call up the reservation, we get her. She goes, oh, she knows our accent is not Floridian or whatever. She goes, oh, how long have you been on the road? She goes, oh, we'll be on the road 19 hours by the time we get there. And she knows, these people are tired.
Right.
So when we get there, she's like super nice. Can I get you anything? Can I get you some hot chocolate, some chocolate chip cookies? And that particular hotel in the evening they have chocolate chip cookies and hot chocolate they have in the like the breakfast room. She goes, "Oh, you missed the hot chocolate and cookies, but I think I'm able to wrangle up some for you if you like, And usually we just take some hot chocolate because it's very refreshing, and we go right to bed. And she goes, "Anything you need, just give a yell." And so super people like that are worth traveling all that distance for, And
Absolutely. Well, I mean, this has been great. This has been great. Tom, you have any other questions for Upen before we get on the way to plugs?
Oh, how many pages do you think it might run?
It's going to be between 80 to 100 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An easy, a quick read that's probably valuable to have on you. That's not doesn't have like I said, huge amount of charts or how-to things, and you could, and that'll be very, very good. And
right.
okay, I look forward to getting my hands on a copy.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, me too. I will definitely get a hold of it. So time flies when you're having fun, and that's what this has been for me. It's been a pleasure to meet Upen and to have another great show with Tom. This is JWC Livestream. Please head over to joeswritersclub.com. Sign up for our forums at joeswriters.club. Visit our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. And most importantly, head over to our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe and share to whoever you think would value this content, because JWC is about helping you become a different writer. You got to make yourself a better writer by writing, but we can help you in a way because we embrace difference and we want to see things that are unique. So Tom, give us your plugs, what you want to plug today.
Okay, got a couple short story collections. Dwellers in the Shadows. First one. The second one is It Still Out There? For some scary stories meant to keep you from not reading when the sun goes down, And I have a Bella serial running 43 chapters at the moment, called Of Thieves, Dragons, and O'Hara. And so far it's gotten pretty good reception. And Joe Evaldi has been reading it, so it's pretty cool. And
right on, Wolfman. That's he reached out to me.
You can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, head over to Amazon. Tom Tiernan, folks, head over to Amazon. I talked with Joe recently, and he says he's doing pretty good. He wants to do something. I don't know. We'll see. I have an idea for a show that he and I could do. We'll see. I have a number of books on Amazon, but the one I've been plugging is Nidhogg Chronicles, Crusade of Shadows. It's a paranormal fiction book. On Mondays at around, lately it's been all over the place, but sometime in the afternoon, late afternoon on Mondays, I've been doing reads. I got about 10 chapters of that in. So head over to Amazon, Richard Andrew Olkis. That's the author name. Come support authors. And Upen, you give your plug, please. Tell us about your book, name of book, name of author, and where we can get it, when we can get it. Go ahead, sir.
Basically, customer centricity in hospitality can be ordered with Amazon. You can pre-order there. That's the only place where I have currently, set it up for. And of course, there will be some hard copies made too, because that's, when you're traveling overseas, it's more like you got to give it to them and stuff like that. And so basically, that's how it's going to be. Very simple, straightforward. It's all going to be content, and spreading the word, more and more. In fact, I am working closely with you know, you have this national calendar day, you have a pizza day and this like that. I have in fact applied to make it a national, one of the national days, humans in hospitality. I have sent in my application, I've given in my reasonings for it, and hopefully someday it will come through. Apparently they say it's extremely, extremely tough to get it, but I am extremely persuasive, and I will make sure, if not today, tomorrow, one day it will happen. There's going to be a national day, humans in hospitality, which is definitely all based on customer centricity, you know.
That's very, very cool. So head over to Amazon, folks, and see about that pre-order. It's going to be, he has Upen has several regional release dates, but you can find him. And Upen, I encourage you to drop this information in our chat, and so people can access it, and we're gonna post it on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any other platforms you'd like to post it on, feel free. It was a real pleasure having you on the show, and we would like to invite you back. You can come back whenever you want, if you want to do another one. Thanks so much. And Tom, thank you again for being on the show, and we'll see you all, our audience, again real soon. Thank you for watching, and stay creative. That's the most important thing. All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Hold on. Oops.
Yeah.
Don't run off the pen.
Okay, tell me.
We have an after show after the cameras have gone off. We just relax and unwind and you know, just to touch base a little more. All right, so I'm going to order the Kindle version. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Pre-order. That I will do.
Awesome.
I'm also interested. Would it be interested in a hard copy, so I could bring to the or I can send it to
the timeshare people.
The manager, right?
That'll be great.
Okay, that works.
Great. Thank you for having me, Tom. I really appreciate you organizing this, and you know, it's like
took a little while.
It's okay.
Wonder where Rich went.
Great.
But if you ever think about doing any fiction, here's the place to you know, you could tap in here and say, I've got an idea for a customs. I'm sure you've done a lot of world traveling. You've picked up a lot of a lot of stories along the way. You could write a travelogue novel of your adventures.
Maybe after this makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Twain did it.
Right.
And it's really, you know, he did several, and he took a bunch of people through Europe, and he wrote the whole thing up, and it's hilarious. But it's a wonderful read. So
you're giving me an idea. Yes, absolutely.
Never know.
Yes, you never know. Take care. Talk to you soon, sir.
Let's see, is he coming back? Here he comes.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, thanks.
We lost you for a sec.
Yeah, there's a little bit of complications, but I think the show came out okay. Thank you for being on the show, Upen, and Tom and I would like to invite you back in the coming months if you'd like to do another one. That'd be great. Thanks a lot for attending.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Tom.
Wow. Have a good